Hello, I'm Chuck Appleby, and I'd like to introduce the video which you're now about to see. It's a video that features a very powerful tool called action learning. Action learning was developed actually in Cambridge University in the mid-50s by a physicist named Reg Revens. It's a tool that's been used to do two things. One, to help solve very difficult problems, and second, to develop leaders. Revens' initial notion was that we're in a time of great change, and if learning does not keep up with the rapid pace of change, then organizations will naturally start declining. So he developed this method to help deal with that problem. Action learning is typically used in organizations in two different ways. One, as a straight tool for problem solving, corporate or organizational issues, and second, as a tool for leadership development. And ideally, when action learning is done in an optimal fashion, it's done with both the goal of developing leaders and solving difficult problems. What makes action learning unique is its focus on the powerful question. It's not the answer, but the question that is most important in action learning. It also emphasizes the great utility of having non-experts in the room. In fact, those non-experts are often the people who ask the most powerful questions. The first step in any action learning process is probably 80% of the power of the method, and that is to gain clarity around what the true issue is. In my experience as an action learning coach, almost 90% of the time, the problem that's brought onto the table, into the room, does not remain. It changes to something different. Action learning has been used around the globe, from in the US, in Britain, in Singapore, Hong Kong, Japan. It's used all over the world in both government and industry organizations. And it has recently, in a study by the Corporate Executive Board, been highlighted as one of the top 3 methods in terms of impact for developing leaders. What you're about to see is an actual action learning session with a real problem owner from a local university and a team of 6 people who are there to help solve her problem. Welcome everybody to our action learning session today. I'd like first of all to have each of us introduce ourselves. So we'll start with Rosie. Rosie, just tell us your name and what you do for a living.
Hello everybody. My name is Rosie, and currently I work as the Director of Learning and Development with the National Education Foundation.
Thank you.
My name is Scott. I am working for Fairfax County Public Schools.
My name is Penny, and I work for a consulting company in the DC area.
And I'm Chuck Appleby, and I'm a leadership coach, an executive coach, and I live here in Vienna, Virginia.
I'm Susan Sherrouse, and I live in Vienna, Virginia as well, and I help people improve their working relationships as an independent consultant.
My name is Simone Brown, and I'm an instructional designer in the Leadership and Management Group in a consulting company here in DC.
My name is Cara, and I am the Director of Living, Learning, Community Development at a local university.
Thanks, everybody. So let's get right to our problem today. We're fortunate to have a problem owner from a local university, Cara. And what I'd like to do before we actually get into our session is really briefly go over the ground rules and the steps we're going to take. So action learning has 3 basic ground rules. The first ground rule is you can only make a statement in response to a question. Okay? Once a question's on the table, you can respond to it at any time during our time together today. The second ground rule is that you can ask questions of anyone. Though our initial tendency will be to ask Cara questions, we want to remember that the problem owner, Cara, can ask questions of us, we can ask questions of each other. And our third ground rule is that I am, as the coach here today, I am responsible for 3 things. 1, I'm responsible that the ground rules are met, I'm responsible for learning, and I'm responsible that the process works smoothly and efficiently. I will not get involved in the substance, as you will see. So whenever I intervene, please answer my question, which will be about learning and about clarity of the problem. Okay? We have 5 steps in action learning. The first step will be a 2-minute statement by our problem owner to give us the context. What's the problem? The second step is for us to begin questioning to gain clarity of the problem. And only when we're all in agreement about the problem itself will we go on to the third step, which is the solution. finding a solution to the problem. The fourth step will be the problem owner's commitment to action. And the fifth step will be our reflection on what we learned about leadership competencies that we're going to talk about in a second, and about problem solving as a self-directed team. Okay? So the next thing I want to do is to ask each of you to tell me what today are you going to work on in terms of a leadership competency that could be developed during an action learning session.
I would want to work on two things.
Okay.
One is powerful questioning and inquiry, and then another is deep listening.
Okay? And how will we know that you're listening deeply?
By asking the right questions, the
Okay.
powerful questions.
Okay?
I think both
But
of them kind of
Go hand in hand.
complement each other.
Okay?
Self-awareness.
Okay? And how will you demonstrate self-awareness?
I think basically by doing a form of deep listening with you all and myself, and then basically being able to process that and hopefully be able to add more to the context of the conversation.
I would like to work on deep listening, and you will know that I am successful in that if I am able to key in to what is being said and also what is not being said.
Susan?
I want to work on collaboration. You'll know that I'm doing that, or I'll know that I'm doing that, I think, by my ability to hear other people's questions and to help in ways that I might be able to help move them forward.
I'd like to work on teamwork, and one evidence that I'm building teamwork is just from building on people's questions and encouraging others to build on the contributions that we're making as a team.
I'd like to work with powerful questioning and inquiry. I'm really, I'm excited about the opportunity to capitalize on the wisdom that's in the room, and so I really want to be engaged in both directions.
Okay. We'll go out now into the first step, which is statement of the problem. And Cara, would you take just 2 minutes and give us a brief overview of the problem, and try to end, if you would, with a headline. Here's my problem.
Okay. So I am the Director of Living Learning Community Development. This problem is very important to me because my success in my position depends upon it. And so I'm really charged with creating the vision and creating the path of living learning communities at the university where I work. I would say that the problem in a sentence is, what is it that a student that participates in a living learning community gets that every other student does not get?
Thank you. So who's got the first question to gain clarity on Cara's problem?
Why did your university start using living learning communities? Why did they develop them?
Great.
What's your current vision for where you want to go?
I don't know how to get my hands around it.
What's an ideal living learning community?
Okay. That you tell me to memorize, but how does it have relevance? It would build relevance. Students would really have an opportunity to understand who they are, what matters to them, how does it relate, how to make those links.
So I think when you were first talking, you talked about 2 years ago there was a big shift. And I don't know, I'd like to know more about what created that need for a shift or desire for a shift.
What have you already tried?
So this year has been what is it that we propose that they could, or that we claim that they can really get out of it, and then how do we know they actually did?
Yeah. This is a question for you and the group as well. What have been you all's experiences with living learning communities?
Well, it's interesting. As part of the Georgetown coaching program, we had learning circles, and so I see that as a smaller microcosm of what this could be.
It was more kind of an onboarding and getting into academics experience, but in the residential college, there was a class that freshmen took.
And were you in class together with people that you lived with?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was based in the residential college, but there was also a strong academic component to it.
We have a few, what I would consider a variation of living and learning communities in the professional world.
How do you get people involved, both on the faculty side and on the student side?
I think for us, it's a common challenge of teaching the kids, and we're basically forced together by the administration, but I think it's for the best.
So that is an interesting question you asked. I'm wondering why you asked, how do you get people involved?
You mentioned earlier that the method has usually been classes. What are some other methods you've used to build community?
We have 3 different programs. One of them is a first year experience course, like what you kind of described. And there's many different sections of that course. So structurally, I mean, the students live on campus, and so the resident advisors that sit on those floors have access to these students. And
Why should the school put money into it?
that's what the school's asking, right? Why should we dedicate resources and time and energy? Think about it.
So let me intervene at this point and ask everyone to take a moment and reflect first. And then based on what you've heard, as well as your intuition, write down what Kara's problem is. Now that you've had a moment to reflect and then write down what the problem is, I'd like to ask each of you to state the problem as you've written it, and then pass your card to Kara.
As I see it, it is a challenge for Kara, firstly, to establish an LLC and then even monitor and evaluate the LLCs.
Okay, Scott?
I thought Kara's problem was that LLC is not important to the students.
Okay.
The problem that I coming up with a plan and value proposition, including what and how to assess the LLC program in order to justify to the university they're supporting it with resources.
Okay, thank you. Susan?
What I wrote down was identifying how students benefit from LLC and how to measure that benefit.
The LLC doesn't serve a clear purpose at the university.
And Kara, what did you write?
I've got, what could the LLC students gain through their experience that other students don't?
Okay. So let me ask you, as you've listened to the 6 problem statements, is everyone saying exactly the same thing?
No.
Not exactly.
Not yet.
We're in the same realm, but there's some different themes. So what are some of the themes that you've heard?
Value.
Value,
What is
okay,
the
so there's a
value?
theme around the value of the program.
Students.
Value to
Value
students.
to the students.
And also value to the university.
Value to the
Yeah.
Both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And the ability to assess
Yeah.
Okay,
the program.
assessing that value.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'll remind you, until we are all really saying exactly the same thing, we won't go on to generate a solution. A key to action learning is to first gain clarity on the issue, and I mean unanimity, before we press ahead. So, who's got the next question? We're still in the clarification phase.
From the feedback that you've gotten from the students, and maybe this is for everyone else as well, in terms of communities like this, like what is most useful to the students? What do they get out of it?
Let me ask the group a question. What kind of activities do each of us engage in, and what's the thing that we find that group gives us in value? How does it pull us in? What does it provide us?
Yeah, for me currently, there is a group that I am associating myself with here, and that's another training and development group.
So I belong to a group that I finished graduate school 20 years ago, and these are people that I was in graduate school with a long time ago, and we meet about once a month and keep each other fed in terms of learning.
And adding on to that is I too am involved with a group of people with whom I went to school, and what I get from staying connected with that group is the common interest in the topic, our school of study, as well as diversity of thought.
And that's a great point, because I think that just thinking about the different groups that I'm in, like for example, my small group at church that I host at my house, so it's a huge investment that I'm putting in it. Like every week people are coming over, and I think I would sum it up in that same way, like it's the diversity of thought that I really appreciate, and common interest, just growth, in our faith. We've kind of explored like the student side of it, how they're benefiting from it, but I wonder on the other side of it, I guess the other side of the question is organizations that sponsor these sorts of community building programs, like how do those organizations, I don't know if you've ever been on the sponsor side of it, how the sponsor benefits.
So I guess what would benefits be to a university to having a program like this?
more money from alumni, getting their kids into a higher position, and better jobs, more prestige.
For me, what are the skill sets you want to build in the students through the Learn LLC?
Sure. Appreciation for diversity, critical thinking, that whole connection. What is it, like, what are the life skills that I'm learning? How does that connect to what it is that I'm learning in the classroom? And to, have a baseline of some of those things. And what is it that an LLC participant gets that goes above and beyond?
And what is it that you offer differently than what is the ongoing programs and whatever the ongoing student groups have? Because all that I hear is a strong sense of community.
Right.
That is your clear purpose in establishing this LLC. But then what is it? I mean, they're already having some groups across the residencies. So what is it different?
Part of the promise is the opportunity to interact. I mean, a big part of the promise is the opportunity to interact with faculty in a way that's different.
If it could help in some way, I want to share something with the group, in throwing light to this. Basically, one of my experiences has been my involvement with the university for 2 years. I was actually in charge of the development of almost more than 500 students. So if that, if you really tap on, I'm just trying to say that
How did you decide team learning and leadership? How did you decide that those were the things that you wanted to develop?
Yeah, it took a lot of time and investment in terms of not only, I wouldn't say that I was the only person. There were a lot of people involved. There were a lot of stakeholders, the university, the directors, every faculty, like you're saying. The faculty has to know what is it that they want to instill in the students.
Right.
What is it that they cannot do in the class and they want to do after the class?
Right.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yeah, I think that taps into a great point. Just to answer your question, what would determine what those topics are or what those themes are, I think, are the initiatives. Like, what's important to the university? What are the university initiatives? What are faculty initiatives? What are things that they would love to do as faculty, but they can't quite do in the classroom, that somehow pulling the students into that would help them achieve their own goals. So it's not just the students benefiting, but faculty saying, okay, well, by participating in this LLC, this is helping me to meet my goal. The university is saying the same thing. The LLC is helping the university meet the university's 5-year goal or 10-year plan or whatever. So tying it to those.
Yeah, I can piggyback on that. Basically, I think you guys summed it up, but I just want to say in my own words.
Sure.
When I give something, if I pitch something like learning community to my kids, they'd be like, "That sounds really stupid." That's what they would say to me. If I were to do something like you were talking about, or you were talking about where you develop like a leadership club, or you develop something that's doing what they want to do, it's a lot more appealing.
Yeah.
And if you focus in on a task, that task in itself unites people and.
Right. Yeah.
Let me intervene at this point and just check in on how we're doing in the process of gaining clarity on Kara's problem. So let me just go around the room and ask you. I think we're doing great. Somewhere in between, not so good. Just for a quick assessment. Again, Rosie, how are we doing in our questioning and gaining clarity? Sort of somewhere in between. Okay, Scott.
I'd say in between.
In between.
Yeah, in between.
In between.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we're slipping into how to solve it before we've got the it down.
Okay, so somewhere in between. Simone?
I think we're doing great.
Doing great. How do you think we're doing, Kara?
So it feels like it's getting fuzzier. Clearer.
Okay.
Somewhere in between also.
Okay, so what are some suggestions that, those of you that said somewhere in between, think about what we could do better. But let me then, while you're processing that, ask Simone, who's thought we were doing great, what are we doing great?
I think we're just staying open.
Staying open to
anything that comes to mind, just asking questions just all over the board. I think we're doing great also with volunteering from our own experiences.
Sharing experience? Okay,
Yeah.
good. So ideas for getting even, for building a more effective process for getting to the heart of Kara's issue. Any suggestions?
At this point, I think, again, rephrasing the question as to what is her problem would be a good idea.
Okay, maybe to check in on, once again, what's the problem?
Yeah,
Okay, we
what's
can
the
do
problem?
that. Any other ideas for?
I would say that we need to focus more on, not on Cara, but we need to focus in on all of us, and that there needs to be more questions directed outwards to be able to just by you asking a question, just like you saw before, she was like, wow, that was a really interesting comment. I mean, I hadn't picked up on that. It was those words, those questions that you say allow us to kind of be able to generate something that might be useful.
Yeah. And it seems like a lot more creative energy flows when you're asking questions and people are talking about their experiences. Yeah. It seems like you can from that.
Okay. So more questions of each other. Keep asking good questions. Stay open. Okay. So let's take your suggestion once again, based on what you've heard and your intuition. Please write down Cara's problem. Okay, let's have everyone once again state the problem. We'll start this time with Simone and go clockwise around. What's the problem?
Students, faculty, and the university do not see the benefits of investing in the LLC.
Lack of clarity about the value of living learning communities.
How Cara can get momentum if she's uncertain of the program benefits.
What do students want, and how to structure the LLC to give students what they want.
Cara herself is not clear on LC's goals and why it should be there at all.
How do I deal with campus politics as I work to build infrastructure around successful LLCs?
Okay. Are we all saying the same thing?
No.
No,
Close.
no.
So.
I mean, we got to
So-
hear a very different dimension.
Okay.
We have a whole new question.
It's a whole new. So what are the sort of what things stood out as themes? So there's something around politics. There's something around.
Infrastructure.
And there's something around certainly convincing about the LLC. Firstly to yourself, your students, your faculties, and then
Yeah.
the university.
Okay.
And, well, okay. I'm
No.
just wondering, like, just to sum up our themes, because we're kind of focusing on hers, but I feel like there was some similarity
Okay.
in the
Yes.
things that we came up with.
So the similarity being, what was in a nutshell, the similarity that binds us all is
Yeah.
what? What? How would you describe it?
Help me, guys. We all contributed.
The overall uncertainty and also Cara's uncertainty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
Yeah.
So there's some
Why are we
overall
doing it?
uncertainty
For
of the
clarity.
value,
Yeah.
and then there's Cara's particular uncertainty.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 or 4 things going on still. So we're not fully in agreement yet. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So who's got the next question as we continue with clarity?
So,
Yeah. I mean,
please give us some more insight into how you phrased what the problem was.
Sure.
Is there another way that you can think of to access the resources that you need to do what you want?
Yeah, and kind of related to that question, kind of a precursor with that might help to process it is who are the other people? Like who are the other people that like, okay, if I get this person on my team, and in thinking about stakeholders, we would organize it like there is the high and the low, and the results in terms of resource and the beneficiary. So stakeholders are people that, given resources, that you need the money, you need the time from them to really form a program, but they're also people that receive the benefits.
I kind of approach it 2 different ways. The one way is I do it very randomly. Like, for example, action learning. Teaching, action learning, how do they connect? And for me, I am always trying to learn new things. I'm always trying to read and see what's out there, trying to see how things are applied in different ways. And so I go to things like this, or I go to other random things, and try to make as many connections as I can. And then the other way is where I was very directed. And so I have a very vision of where I want to go. And so I push towards the vision, and then I'm able to tap this randomness to kind of tie into where I want to go. I think you already know what they want.
Right.
And I think it's more a matter of making sure that you give them what
Deliver.
they want.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think about like what are the informal initiatives, because everybody has a mission, goal, statement, strategic plan, but like informally, what is the university
Right.
investing in?
Right.
As you're talking, I'm wondering what faculty motivations are. At the university level, my experience is that faculty motivation is often not, how can I be a better teacher?
Yeah.
But
Right, of course.
So that's the question. What are some faculty motivations that you've seen so far? And you all's
Well,
experience
and how our
as faculty or working with faculty, what motivates faculty in your institutions or institutions that you've been in? I know publishing, I'm sorry, go ahead and answer the question. Getting
Right.
published is huge, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and what are the incentives?
Is it mostly time? I'm thinking about students and faculty and, asking them to do one more thing.
When you were mentioning this isn't going to necessarily help the faculties in any way, so you believe that it's not helping the faculties at all?
How could it help help professors earn tenure? Is there any way that LLC could help them get tenure?
So let me intervene now and ask you to do something a bit different in terms of defining the problem. I'd ask you to take a clean sheet of paper, and I notice that Susan has a bunch, if anyone needs one. What I'd like you to do before answering the question, what's the problem, I'd like you to just do a mind map. I mean, just put on all the pieces of the puzzle and some interconnections as you see them. So draw a picture of the problem, reflect on it, and then write your statement of the problem. Okay? Rosie, if you'd start, what's Cara's problem?
Well, what I believe is in building credibility of the learning communities across different directions in the university.
Okay? Scott?
I thought it was very similar to what was just said, and that it's connecting, synergizing at the LLC, what they accomplish with complementing the university students and professor objectives.
Very similar. How to manage stakeholders toward a common vision for the program.
how to build support across the university for learning living communities.
That the learning living community purpose and activities are not fully meeting student and university needs.
Cara, what did you say?
What is the conversation that needs to happen and with who this spring to move LLC development forward?
Okay. So are we in agreement on the problem?
I think so.
Similar.
Okay. So are there themes or is there one big problem statement that emerges from this?
I mean, this, how to manage stakeholders towards a common vision for the program summarizes it for me.
So can you frame that though as something that's how would you frame that as this is my problem?
How do I get the right people around the table to answer
Is there something about getting the right people to help you develop the vision, so you're not the only one saying, okay, here's a vision and here's a plan?
How do I get the right people around the table to develop the vision quickly so that I can start to get to work around that this spring? I have my ideas, but they can't happen in isolation.
Right.
I would recommend that you do it in stages.
Right.
Okay. Before we get into solution. So once again, how do I get the right people at the table to develop a shared vision of the LLC? The program, I guess. Is that something that, again, are we all in agreement that really is the heart of the issue for Cara? If anybody has any doubts, again, it's absolutely important that we all say, yep, that's it. Are we all? Is there anybody that does not believe that's really the heart of the issue from which we should then launch into developing some solutions? And it's okay to say no.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm in.
Me too.
Yeah, I think
That is a core
that's
issue.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll get that written down. In fact, why don't we all just write that down?
Okay.
So you have it in front of you. It's important because we'll refer back to this as we develop solutions. This is what we want to develop solutions. Okay, so we have a problem statement. Our next step, actually, before going to solution, is we need to turn this into a goal statement. Is that an easy do here? Can you imagine if taking that problem statement, can you just rephrase that as a goal now?
My goal is to get the right people to the table to develop a shared vision and plan for the LLC program.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a problem statement. We developed a goal from that problem statement. And now we're into how do we get there? The strategy, the steps to get to that goal. So who has the first question, now that we're in the solution phase, for resolving or getting to this goal?
The question I have is, you've listened, we've talked, and you've listened for quite some time now, and I'm curious about what each of you individually sees as the leadership move here.
I would find the people who are the most behind the program, the proponents, to kind of start to develop some energy.
Stakeholders, and not only those stakeholders, but people that have kind of the ear of the stakeholders, like people that you could go through to get to the stakeholders.
And identifying the alligators.
I would do a value analysis of the current LLC program offering, and maybe revamp that in the first place.
I have to realize that there's a lot of people invested in what I do.
Right.
And stepping on people's toes is not a good way to earn credibility.
Right.
And it's not a good way to build your program up. And at the same time, you can also access massive amounts of resources that I would have no idea are there, but they do.
The question was, what would I do? To have a plan to bring them together in a way. There's something called World Cafe that would get those groups of people in small groups working on a really hard problem, and this is a really hard problem.
But you need to, kind of understand what the students want eventually.
Are there graduates of the program that you could tap into, or is it still too new?
It's new. We're in the first year since we kind of revised the guidelines, but there would be some School of Management participants from last year that are pretty excited, and some of our current students are, current students are excited, and some of our current resident advisors are excited. There's some places to look. We've talked a little bit about who, and there's also this sort of idea on the table around process. I'm curious about processes that you've been a part of, or that you facilitate, or that you've experienced that might get at something like this.
IDEO is a company, IDEO, and they have this process that they use. They're one of the premier design companies in the world, and they have this process that they've developed over the years, and it's just this compressed format. People are at tables, and I could share more details with you, but it brings out a lot of creativity in a really short amount of time. They actually build a model of what it should look like. So it's a conceptual model, but they build it out of stuff. So you have to, have materials there for them to build something. But it's quite energizing, and you get a lot of really good ideas that come out of it.
So it is right brain to some extent.
Yeah.
Engages
Yeah.
right brain thinking.
Right.
So let me intervene and ask how we're doing. Again, we'll just poll everybody. Start with Cara. How are we doing at getting good ideas to meet the goal? Really good? Somewhere between? Not so good? Okay. Simone, how are we doing?
I think we're doing okay.
Doing okay? So in the middle?
Middle to good.
Middle to good?
I'd say middle to good.
Middle to good?
I would say good.
Good?
I'd say middle to good.
Middle to good.
Yeah.
So if we're middle to good, how do we get to great? What could we do? What isn't here that needs to be here? What could we do to really start getting some great strategies, actions, ideas to help get to our goal?
I'd like to ask Cara that question.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. What do you need to know?
So let me just intervene. So one of the things we need to do is to find out what Cara needs. Okay, so that's a good
Okay,
idea.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
So what's another, before we head down that path, what's another thing that we might do to get a higher level of performance in getting great ideas on the strategy to meet the goal?
Taking a minute ourselves and asking us that same question what she put forth. Like, if I were in her position, What?
Okay.
What are the
So maybe
strategic
reflect,
thinkings?
reflect,
Yeah, reflecting.
internally, and then giving our own.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else? How's the energy level? How's the energy level
I
of
feel like
of
it's
this?
a little bit sluggish.
It's a little bit sluggish.
It feels weird because I feel like we are where we want to be. We've identified the problem. We're focusing on solutions, but I just feel like the energy's kind of waned.
The way energy's
Yeah.
waned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what could we do to build energy?
Get up.
Okay. So we could stand up and brainstorm,
Yes.
or move around and brainstorm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
maybe also get into different perspectives because we're in Kara's perspective, which we need to be, but I don't know, maybe it's possible to look at it from other perspectives as well, like maybe from the other people
Role playing would be
Yeah.
awesome.
perspectives. Yeah.
Yes.
Role playing.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Okay. So why don't we do the fun? Let's stand up. Before we stand up, let's assume some roles or some perspectives, if you will, maybe some stakeholder perspectives, who could then, if from their perspective, what ideas, so forth, would we have? So, Rosie, what would you? Is there a stakeholder that really kind of grabs your interest that you'd like?
Student.
You'd like to be a
I
student?
want to be a
Yes.
student.
Okay, we can have multiple students. Scott, is there a the provost, a parent, a faculty?
I would like to be a professor.
A professor? Any is there is a role that grabs you? Or if you want to be another professor or whatever, that's fine too. Well,
What about being Kara's boss?
okay, you want to be Kara's boss. Susan, is there a
I
role
would
for
like
you?
to also be a professor.
Another professor, okay?
I guess I probably should go into probably a staff person at the university. I don't know if I want to be the provost. Is there another staff person that it might be good to get their perspective into it?
Sure, you could be director of housing.
Director of housing, is that the residential?
good.
Okay. So what role would be most useful for you to play?
So crazy. Yeah. Right. Okay. Okay.
Assistant provost? Is that?
I want to change mine. I want to do a LLC alumni. So one of the students who was in.
Okay, a student LLC alumni.
Yeah.
Okay? So let's all stand up and let's play our roles and then continue with the questioning.
Why should I come to this LLC?
Because it's good for you, like vitamins.
Yeah.
Never a good answer.
As a LLC alumni, the friends that I've made, I've been able to hold on for a long time. I would hope that I'm earning more money because of it and a better job.
Are you really earning more money out of it?
I don't know.
Well, because that would motivate me to come.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, as a faculty member, I'd say that we'd have to do some research on that. Just not sure how you would prove a statement like that.
Or it could be that it expanded your horizons. Like maybe you came in thinking you just wanted to be, or maybe it's fine, you wanted to be a doctor. And then it just expanded your horizons to see that really maybe that's not your strength, and maybe you'd be better off, being a mathematician or something as a result of LLC interactions.
And what I can assure you is that academically, the students who participate in our living learning communities are better performers. They're more likely to stay at the institution. They're more likely to be connected to their peers. There's a stronger sense of community.
Yeah.
They do better in their coursework.
Yeah. As director of housing, to answer your question, I feel like you wouldn't, as being part of LLC doesn't take you out of what you're normally doing anyway.
Well, I have to attend lots of classes, and then, we have fun groups. I mean, I would rather like to go to those fun groups, and that's again another way of networking with the alumni and everything. So, I mean, I really don't see a benefit.
As a faculty member, I have a lot of questions about what I'm being asked to do and why I should be participating.
It may be that there's something in there, I don't know what your research is around, but there may be some research opportunities, some case study write-ups, a way for publishing the experience of the students, and that may be of a benefit to you.
As LLC alumni, I would have loved to have been able to work in your lab and help out with stuff and apply what I'm learning within that situation.
As director of housing, I know we're looking into the option of having faculty.
I have a slightly different question, I think, as a professor, and you're really asking this group of people to come and commit a period of time to thinking this through. And even there, I'm wondering, when I get that letter inviting me to participate in this, why would I want to?
One thing, if I were to put myself in your shoes, that would motivate me, just being very relational as professors tend to be generally, it would motivate me if another professor had already participated and had come to my office along with the letter, not just the letter, just the email, but come to my office and say, hey, did you get that email from Karen?
Okay, let me intervene. And we said, when we said, what can we do better? We said, stand up, get some energy. We said, take on roles to get some new perspectives. And we also said a third thing, we were going to ask some good questions that Cara had, which is, from your perspective, what would you do to get to that goal? How are we doing in that third suggestion of answering the question, what would you do to get to that goal?
And no, I think we are moving also in that direction,
Okay.
because in our own roles we are asking the right questions, and in that
Okay.
I mean, we are actually coming to, you know, who are the stakeholders and what questions would
Okay.
they have, and what kind of questions she would have to answer. So I
Okay.
think we are actually
You're doing that?
yeah,
Okay.
we are doing
I'll
that.
back out. Please continue.
I mean, I don't know whether we are, but I would say that we are
Okay.
doing that.
I'm just wondering if the different stakeholders have a place to rally around, or does it seem just kind of not here and not there, like I can't get my arms around it?
Right.
More like a steering committee, so it's not just a one-time thing, but on a continual basis. Is that what you're...
That's an interesting, when you said that, I thought of like a board.
Can we sit again? I mean, this has kind of taken us in a different direction, but I feel frustrated by this. And so I'm wondering what seems frustrating. I'm curious about what might seem frustrating about this issue to each of you.
Where to start?
Oh,
Well, absolutely.
I thought you had so many things that you were going to say.
No. I was saying that might be frustrating to me. Is there, where do I start?
And for me, I keep thinking that stakeholders have to have some stake. And so your challenge is, how do I sell them that they have some stake in this?
And I also think about what would be frustrating to me is if I'm not quite getting what I bargained for. Like if I came into this thinking that, I'd have everybody, on the team, everybody be excited, and I'm having to do a lot of more pushing and pulling and marketing and selling than I really bargained for. That would be frustrating. And then I guess to mitigate that frustration, I'd have to just realize, well, it is what it is. Like, this is the role that I'm in. Okay, how can I be successful in this role?
I would say accessing resources. It seems like the different people in your organization have put priorities that are not aligned with helping you to achieve your objectives.
If I were in your position, what I would do is probably identify at least one or two other persons who are really interested and motivated in promoting this LLC, and then taking it on from there.
The dynamics.
In my role as a student, when I was exploring the questions further, what I wanted, is some other benefit. And what came to my mind as a benefit would be, in the current situation, a kind of an interaction with the industry experts. If LLC could take on some kind of a role.
Right.
Tons of groups that already exist. And I think that plus all these other resources are just waiting there for you to tap them.
Like suppose a professor taught a business strategy class, then bringing in another industry expert of strategy, and then there are various questions that we students have. I'm still in the role. So, okay, and then
So
answering all of that.
We're shifting a little bit towards programming. I want to really hold the question of how do I get the right people to the table
So when you
Okay.
say
to
there
develop
are,
a shared plan and vision.
when you say there are barriers, what kind of barriers are you talking about? What are some of those barriers?
It seems to me that, given how high profile this is, you could leverage that to get indoors to speak with people.
Is one of the barriers a huge budget cut at the university level?
Money is money is definitely a piece of it, for sure, yeah. Yeah, but it feels like it's more, people, like who gets to talk to who and why and how and how you even know that stuff. That's not directly spoken. So it kind of speaks to your question a little bit about like not stepping on toes, not, there's some finesse to finding the right people and the right circles.
Yeah. I'm reminded of, you spoke earlier about how your supervisor, a lot of times she'll be like, okay, let's answer their questions so that they won't ask any more questions. And that just came back to mind. I'm like, I wonder what is the barrier in that? Like, is there some sort of political barrier, communication barrier? Are people afraid of people getting too invested in a program because then they'll kind of form it around their own interests? Like, I wonder what's in there.
I'm going to intervene now because we're coming to sort of time to approach the learning phase. And I need you to reflect about your commitments. And based on what you've heard, knowing that after you make your commitments, we'll ask you some further clarifying questions and maybe offer some advice. Take a moment and tell us what you will commit to do to get to your goal. Take all the time you need.
And if people leaving that meeting had a clear idea about what's happening next, people who had a part in it knew what it was that they needed to do. I can see that I would have things to do, but that other individuals may as well. We could move into spring really knowing what that is.
So what I heard was my commitment is to figure out who to get around the table. To get people around the table, to figure out who to get around the table, to figure out what the structure of that conversation, so that we develop some next steps for moving into the spring, and you want to make that happen within 30 days.
Yeah, that initial conversation.
Okay. Does everybody understand those commitments?
Mm-hmm.
So what questions around clarification, just clarifying, any questions you have for Cara on clarifying those commitments?
How many people do you see in this initial conversation?
10.
Okay.
And another question is, what are some preliminary steps to getting people around the table?
Facilitated conversation.
Yeah, that sounds like another step, even like doing that research.
So your question is, what advice do you have for me in executing these 4 commitments?
As far as the tools go, something around appreciative inquiry.
Another one is open space technology, which involves a lot of appreciative inquiry.
And after you answer those questions, those internal conversations like who are the people and everything, you can probably use action learning in the conference that you do, whatever, for the 10 people.
There's a tool.
Yeah. Yeah, we are practicing that.
Is there anyone who can help you figure out who needs to be at the table?
Yeah.
So meeting with them. And that goes back to what Rosie suggested, that core people, like your core kind of posse to get with you and then help you get with the other people that need to be involved.
Would it be helpful if someone in this room offered maybe to brainstorm with you following this meeting just on ideas?
Oh, absolutely. That's
Okay.
also useful to me. You had mentioned that you're willing. If people are willing to talk with me, that's useful to me.
Yes.
The conversation keeps me in the momentum and keeps
Right.
me. You can see how mired down.
We can do a conference call,
Yeah.
maybe.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So when will you get back to the group? In the next 2 weeks? You want to make this happen in 30 days, so do you want to report back after it's happened or just before, or what would you like to do?
So,
So-
by early February, I'll let you know
Okay.
kind of where I am.
First week in February?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So looking forward to hearing from you.
Definitely.
Okay.
And we're looking forward to hearing from you before then.
Yes.
On an as-needed
Yes.
basis.
Thank you.
We're on
Okay.
call.
Too.
That's great.
The questions I have for us now are first, were you helped? Cara, were you helped in this?
Yes. I mean, I have some direction moving forward. So I have some, some very short-term direction around this sort of next step. It's also, I mean, in all honesty, there's pieces of this that are frustrating, and it's validated. Like, I feel validated around some of that. Like, I can see, like, it's sort of illuminated some of that. I mean, I'm not crazy. Like, it's really, there's some of it that's difficult. Because it can seem like that. Like, it can get simplified. It can get, like, some of my conversations back on campus can get really drilled down, and it really is big, actually. I mean, there's a lot of pieces, there's a lot of parts, and I need to make it simple and kind of take a next step. So that's, it's helpful for me to see, okay, yes, it is all of this, and what do the next 30 days hold? And then the next, because that's how I'm going to tackle it.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's the only way you can tackle
It is.
actually.
It is, right? I've noticed.
So let's reflect for a moment on our process as a group and how we did in clarifying and then developing some solutions and commitment.
Sure.
How did we do? What would you highlight in describing what happened that you did well?
I heard some great questions. What is an ideal LLC? How do you get people involved, students and faculty? I thought that they were good getting information questions, so we had a better handle of what we were talking about.
I love Simone's idea of the role playing. I thought that was
Okay.
I thought that was genius.
So role playing, and how did that help? What did that do?
I thought it kind of just gave us an opportunity to take a step back and kind of relax a little bit, stop being so serious, and kind of have some fun with it.
At one point, so I think Rosie got really into her role as a student, which is really fun to see and to respond to. Yeah.
So you gave some good feedback to the group,
Yeah.
redirecting back to the problem.
And I really liked when Cara asked us questions,
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was great.
because that was it just changed things. When you said, what would you, or what have you done, or what would you do? It was like, yeah, it looks a lot easier from this side of the table. So I really like that.
What are some things we do better? Meeting again, doing action learning once again. How would you improve this?
Maybe an action learning session again, after all the ideas that have come through, all our brainstorming, emailing, everything after a couple of months, and really seeing where have we really solved anything?
So did the drawing help? When we said, let's draw the problem and then put the problem down. Was that useful, or did
Oh, yeah,
or were we
thank you.
already far along it didn't really add much?
I liked it, but we should have shown it off.
Yeah, really. I
really
wanted to
Okay.
show everybody my picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wanted to show your picture. Huh?
I want to see your pictures, all of
Okay.
yours.
And along
Thank you
those
for the
lines,
idea.
I saw that Kara had a lot of hunger for tools, because
Uh-huh.
that question came up repeatedly. Okay, what are some tools? What are some things that we could use in the whole facilitating that process? So, in terms of what could we do better, I feel like it would have been good to, to be more prepared, like with my little toolkit or.
And that's a great point, and that is, I think people often say, well, I have the ground rules, I have the 5 steps, I've just got to sit at the table and, just sort of do nothing more than ask questions. But we're free in the action learning experience to bring in any tools you have. I mean, we could integrate a World Cafe. Let's, if usually when you have long-term programs, you might say, next week we're going to do a
Yeah.
World Cafe when we meet again.
That would be
Yeah.
Is there
yeah.
a way to kind of, like, for example, when we did the action learning a few times ago,
Yeah.
we were given a write-up of people's problems, or there were people that gave a picture of their problem.
Yep.
Is there a way of getting that to the people that are participating in it ahead of time, so that they can kind of look it over
Okay.
before they come in?
So do a little write-up of your problem
For the
beforehand.
problem holder,
Yeah, the problem owner writes up sort of a basic, here are the players,
and then
here's
gives
the
it to us
context.
maybe 4 days
Okay.
ahead of time.
Okay. Okay. And that's what the Quaker Clearness Committee does. They send a 2-page letter in advance saying, here's my issue. And the Clearness Committee meets, and its only purpose is to clarify the issue. Because in essence, I think the power of action learning 80% of it is getting that clarity on what my problem / goal is.
Yeah.
The rest of it, we all, our culture knows how to attack problems. We can list 5 tools immediately without even thinking about it. And if you're a Six Sigma black belt or whatever, you've got a whole toolkit. What we're not good at is really, so what's the core issue right now, urgent for me to grapple with?
Right.
That's, I think, the power.
Yeah.
So with that, our time has come to end, and I really thank you all for being here and appreciate all that you brought to the table, and a special thanks to Cara for being willing to sort of lay it out on the table, and we appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is my first experience with action learning, so this is my first taste of it. It was really valuable to me. I really appreciated the collaboration. I appreciated the insight from other people. You know, I have some research to do. I have some clear steps moving forward.
Before today, I'd experienced it when I was working at a federal government agency a couple of years ago for the first time, and then the next time I experienced it was as part of the certification training, being a problem presenter and then also being part of the team that helped solve the problem. And I also facilitated it in a government agency, and it's been wonderful. It makes me want to come back for more every time I experience it.
I have only read about it and heard about it, so I had the conceptual idea, but had never experienced it firsthand.
Well, I am about 2/3 the way through certification for action learning, and I have lots of experience using it in different situations.
Well, I have been to an action learning session only once before today.
I mean, this is a complex issue. There's lots of layers to it, and I was really hopeful that I might leave with something very tangible.
The power of action learning, it strikes me that you have a problem in your head and it swims around in your head, and you just have this one perspective. You have a conversation with one other person, okay, then maybe you have 2 perspectives. But having the perspective of multiple people and then building upon each of the perspectives is really powerful.
I love how it gives me the opportunity to listen to other people's perspectives and puts me really in a strong problem-solving mode where I'm really able to really listen to what people are saying and let that be the basis for my questions, as opposed to just going down a road of, oh, I know what the answer is, or I know what the problem is, because it helps me to realize I don't always know what the answer is or what the problem is, but that clarity comes with the team and working with the team.
There's nothing like action learning to get you outside of your comfort zone and to expose you to just tons of creative ways of thinking that are able to help me to become better at my job. So I'm able to use it in phenomenal ways.
For me, I mean, I have a very tangible takeaway. I mean, I really know I've made a commitment that within 30 days I'm going to pull a group of people together around having conversation to move us forward. It really got clearly articulated today.
It's really just hearing what the differences in how other people are thinking. You think, oh, I know the answer, and then you hear somebody else ask this really great question. You go, gosh, that was fabulous. So not only does the person get work on their problem, but the participants also get these other perspectives, which kind of expands their thinking.
And another thing I love is that it helps people, and so by helping them, I'm able to just kind of help them to get better at this, which builds my skills.
The most important thing that I have realized that everybody has a problem. And action learning is a wonderful tool that asks, powerful questions. It's a way to asking powerful questions, the right questions, without getting into, whether I should ask or how is it, how does it come across when I ask, We know that it is a questioning session, and we just get on with asking whatever is on our mind instead of really getting into, the apprehensions behind it.
I absolutely adored the role playing that we broke into. I thought that was terrific, and I'm going to use that over and over again.
And I really think that it's a wonderful tool to take back to any industry, any place, any part of the world. I think we can cut across meeting times, conference timings, and really get to resolving issues.
Another part about it that I love is that it's very energizing. I really enjoy just being energized by the team and by their perspectives and getting new ideas about how to go about doing my own work. Even though I might be solving a problem in a completely different field, it always gives me insight about how I can do my own work better and ask questions of myself and of others better.
Hi, Chuck.
Hi, Rosie.
Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you, do you really think this tool is going to work for all organizations?
I think this is a tool that's widely applicable around the world and in both nonprofit, government, and industry. We've used it in all of these applications. And in fact, some of the biggest proponents are not where it started in England or as it migrated to the US. We're finding in Asia, for example, a tremendous interest and activity in action learning. I think the critical factors are having a group of people who are committed to solving the problem, and they must be a diverse group of people. You have to have an action learning coach to help guide the learning. You have to have a commitment to asking questions. You have to have a commitment also to learning. In each session, we don't just solve problems and clarify them. We also reflect on what we've learned about leadership, about problem solving, about ourselves, and about our organizations. You also have to have a very compelling problem. Action learning is not going to be useful for what we call a puzzle. A puzzle is a technical issue that I could find an expert to solve. Action learning is used primarily for leadership issues, messy, complex problems for which there's no single answer.
Can you give an example of where it has been used other than the big leaders at the top, the CEOs, CFOs?
Sure. I do action learning in leadership development programs. I use action learning where emerging leaders, people who are, say, first-line supervisors or people with some leadership experience trying to rise up in the organization, come together, say, maybe once a month, and for 3 or 4 hours we meet, and a person would bring their leadership challenge to the table. An example might be, my team is demoralized. Mm-hmm. We've been cut in our size. We're a service organization. We don't get a lot of the respect that the line people get, and I'm having trouble motivating my team. And interesting, in that particular case I'm referring to, after an hour of clarifying the question, the leader in this problem finally realized that the problem wasn't how do I motivate my team. The leader realized the problem was how do I motivate myself? Because he realized through the questioning that it was his own motivation that was hindering his ability to motivate his team. Other issues that you find in organizations might be how do I get more diversity in leadership positions? Those are a problem I've worked. For a government organization, one of the leaders of a government organization said, my leaders aren't acting like leaders. They're simply getting the task done, but they're not leading and developing their people. So how do I make that happen? So those are just some of the examples of problems we've dealt with in organizations.
By using this particular tool, have you benefited organizations? Has there been any statement by any top personnel?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
And referring to the question to the leader I just mentioned, how do I get my leaders to act like leaders, and how do I get more women and minorities in leadership position? After the project was over, the leader met with the 2 teams that were working on these problems, and he was so impressed by what they had accomplished in the organization in solving the problems and in developing their own leadership capacity that he said, I want this in our organization everywhere, and I want it now. So it really does evoke some very powerful responses in people. And what you find in action learning is that over time, and when you're together for 3 or 4 months in an action learning team, you develop a tremendous camaraderie with the team itself. A tremendous trust develops as a result of working on a tough problem. And we find that people end up staying together for a long time in a unit, coaching each other in a sort of a peer coaching environment. So it builds peer coaching. It helps people develop leadership skills they need to be good coaches, because that's really what you're doing in an action learning session. You're really practicing great coaching skills. The questioning, the reflection, the gaining different perspectives, the helping people understand how to get over barriers and achieve their goals.
One clarity I seek personally is like, see here, currently this video that we did is about, people from different organizations.
Right.
So they can feel free to ask questions of any kind. But
Right.
what if when you're doing an action learning session within an organization, I mean, I might be fearing that if I ask this question, what if my boss, gets annoyed? I wouldn't get the next promotion.
That's a fantastic question. So there's 2 things that have to happen to build trust in an action learning team. And that is, one, the people have to be committed. They have to show up. Because if some people don't show up, the team begins to wonder, why are they not committed? And it kills trust. The other thing is the issue you build. How do we maintain the confidence that what's said in the group stays in the group? Because the nature of the questioning process makes you really listen to other people, unlike any other I've ever seen, it does help to develop this sense of I care about what you're saying, and that in turn helps develop trust between people.
So you would say that the clarity would be equally there as well as here?
Yes.
I mean, there wouldn't be any difference.
I think it's just more challenging when you're operating inside a company and everybody's perhaps peers competing for the same positions in the company. That's more of a challenge, but I've done it and it works, but it's got to be done with some really good ground rules and some accountability.
Got it. So anybody can just come on board and practice an action learning session, or would
Absolutely.
you recommend some pre-readings before, or some
No.
kind of a prerequisite for a person to be
Yeah.
taking on an action learning session?
Another great question, and that's one of the things I love about action learning, is it doesn't require any pre-training. We can, in 10 minutes, brief everybody about what has to happen to make the session work, give them the ground rules and the steps, and we're off and running, so it can be done very quickly. And one of the things that's really wonderful about action learning is that because the focus is on the question as opposed to the right answer, everyone at the table feels empowered. Because anyone, no matter if you're the employee that's only been here a day, you can still ask great questions and not have to say, oh, what do I have to add, in comparison to there's somebody that's been here for 20 years.
Sometimes.
It really empowers everyone to say, well, what about this? And why did you do it that way?
Yeah.
So it can be very empowering. And it also equalizes. I find that because of that same phenomenon, you don't feel that sense of hierarchy, even though you may have people from various levels in the process. Thank you, Rosie.
Yeah. Thanks, Chuck.